That's right, coming to you from Alameda, California. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ralph Zig Tyko.
Ralph Z. Tyko sounds like a name that should be in the Hall of Fame. But unfortunately, there's no reason for that. I'm back.
What
You're
about the
comfortable.
podcast? What about the podcasters Hall of Fame? And
Uh,
yes, it wouldn't be the same unless I interrupted your intro at least once.
well,
Fuck.
Paulie, this is a show I've been looking forward to doing for a long time. We have 2 years doing this, 2 years
Right.
next month.
Right.
And we have never had just a one on one where I could learn the things about you that I don't know. And we've been intimate, if you'll excuse the expression, um, about a whole bunch of stuff. I think I know it all, but I know I don't because there are certain questions I've never asked, um, things I'm learning about you as we go. As an example, Paulie, you basically raised your 4 kids without the help of a mama.
Yeah, there was not really, the mom wasn't involved. But what do they say? It takes a village, right? So, I had always had the support of my mother, always had the support of, well, had this always had the support of Christine in my life since '01. Um, and that's gone back and forth, but we've been together for 25 years. She's mom for all intents and purposes at this point, and has been for a couple decades.
Right.
She's played the part when it wasn't popular. She played the part when it wasn't a cool gig, which is almost any time when you're raising children. It doesn't matter if they're in the terrible twos or 22s or 32s. Um, life. Parenting is. I like to think of it as little snapshots at time. It's There was more of those snapshots when they were growing up, when it was the wonder years, when you were teaching them to ride a bike, or when they're going to school, or when they're in the play, or the school play, or they're marching in the downtown parade, or there's different times where pride kind of sinks in, or they've learned a lesson, or they reiterate something that regurgitated something you've taught them over the years, that, wow, I thought they weren't listening, but they must have. Through osmosis, they've got it somehow. And
Yeah.
so, um, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yes, I raised my. I think you said it pre-show, is I raised my children sans mom, right? And so it is without their mom really a part of it. Their mother passed away in 2014 without really. She was there in the first couple years, but then after that she was gone. And so even the stuff in the first couple of years, she kind of missed a lot of the milestones. She had to do a lot of the work. She birthed the children. She breastfed them, and then regular fed them, and did all the stuff that a woman does when they give birth to a child. So she did a lot of hard mothering stuff, but then at some point it just was like, I'm gonna clock out. I'm done. And as you know, you can't do that as a parent.
No.
You can't check out.
No.
You have to be there 24/7, for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Um,
Yeah.
I
I
taught my
tell
kids.
people,
I taught my kids how to drive. One of the first things I taught them is, they were surprised, is it, and it comes from my mother, and I'll explain that afterwards. Is that I said, before you even step behind the wheel, you have to learn a couple of things. You got to change a tire. You got to be able to change a tire. You have to be able to check your oil and your water in your car. And these are before you step behind the wheel. And then you have to get the talk. Just like when you send your kids off into the world and you give them the sex talk, you got to give them the talk about you're driving a 2,000-pound piece of metal. It's basically a lethal weapon. You could kill someone, you could be killed. Um, don't ever get behind the wheel impaired. Um, I gave every one of my kids a free get out of jail free card with me. I don't care. You never get behind the wheel. You never get in the car with somebody that's been drinking or under the influence of some drug. And so um, I always told them that you called me. I don't care if it's 3 in the morning. I'd rather hear you're on the side of the road up in the mountains than you got in a car with somebody that had been drinking. I don't care.
And you come and get
And
them.
matter of fact, if you have multiple friends that weren't gonna get into a car, I'll give them a ride home too. I'll be
Right.
talking to their parents on the way home, but I'll give them a ride. Um, and so, yeah, um, parenting, interesting. So it does take a village. To say I did it by myself would be a misnomer. I did it with the help of a lot of support of people like my mom, Christine, and stuff like that over the years. But no, yeah, sometimes when the mom's not part of the situation, your mom, dad, and everything else wrapped up into one.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
interesting stuff.
I tell people that the first 5 years when I was the stay-at-home dad, uh, Philip's mother was a college teacher, and I was a stay-at-home dad, aspiring comedian, and those days were intense, absolutely intense. And I was trying to be a comedian at the same time as I was spending um, Philip's formative years, 1 through 6, 7, with me as the house dad. I didn't find much funny in those years. Um, I found them pleasurable and enjoyable at times,
And
of course.
rewarding, but not easy.
Not easy and not a game. First
No.
time in my life, I was like 45 uh, as I was going through this, 42, 43, 45. Wasn't 44, but that's what this show is, number 44. And when I think of it, um, it's a nice number. Willie McCovey, Henry Aaron, and and you, Paulie. I've enjoyed your company.
Well, same here.
So,
Right back at you, Ziggy.
what else can I learn about you? I didn't realize that your mom was in on it and helped raising those kids. 4 kids.
Right, and
um,
I came and I came from a single mom. My mom was a single mom for many years, and I was the middle child of three boys, and so um, I raised my kids as though I was their parent because I was. I raised them as though I thought I wanted to be raised. Not
I
that my
was going
mom
to
did it.
say,
Not that my mom did a bad job, but she was a single parent and had a lot of struggles. Um, I think
and
I
a
wanted
human
to.
being.
I wanted to bring my own personality, my own. Like you said you had to grow up. You were 42 and you were probably the perpetual kid. I'm still that perpetual kid and I'm 58. We both are. But when responsibility hits, when rubber hits the road, um, you know, sometimes nonsense is really just cast aside, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so it's about getting down to brass tacks. It might be something you're not good at because parenting no one's good at. I don't care what kind of parent you are, how long you've been parenting, how many kids you've parented. It doesn't always mean the more flight hours, like they give pilots. How many flight hours have you had before you get your license? Well, the same thing with parenting. It doesn't matter how many flight hours you have. Yes, it's experience and it's more experience, but one thing about I've learned about kids, just like all of us, we're all individuals. We're all so different. Our trajectory is so different. Our course is so different that you by interfacing with more people in your life, you get to realize that we're just all so different, but yet also the same. And so I think you could probably have raised 50 kids and you could have raised five and you could have almost been the same parent. Um, and the reason I say that is because some of it's DNA, some of it is environment and what you're teaching your kid, and other parts of it is just stupid luck. You
And
really
what
don't
they
know
pick
what you
up in
get.
the world,
What's
what
that?
they pick up in the world.
Right. Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, it exists. That goes with the environment. So that goes with the social environment, and then there's the home environment. But both those environmental systems definitely affect a child's or person's upbringing, and so there's so many things at play. Even when you look at each one of my four children, which I have five, but even when you look at all four of my children that I raised, you would think their trajectory was pretty much the same. They came from the same home environment. They kind of lived in the same social environment, but they all grew up so differently. It's because they're individuals and they all take away something, and we all have our strong points and our weaknesses, and um, our personalities kick in. So one thing I did is I didn't let go of being a child. I thought, hey, this is going to be the best skill for being a parent. I'm a big guy, so I'm going to be able to be let's say, the firm parent when I need to. But I'm also going to be the big, lovable guy that's going to act goofy and whatever else. Think of John Candy or whatever. And so I think I had the best of both worlds. But there was times that I definitely didn't. Um, being a being a child raising children, I was 25, but really in my head I was probably 15. Um,
yeah.
I think there was a lot of lessons I definitely learned on the way. Things that I thought were cool at the time. I'll give you an example. Is I used to drink soda. Now I drink seltzer water. If you see wherever I got a bottle of seltzer water. It's probably Soda Stream, or it's Perrier, or it's some kind of carbonated water, but it's not soda. It's rare that I drink soda. Anyway, so my kids, I would always drink clear soda. It would always be Sprite or 7 Up or whatever. And I wouldn't want the kids to always be drinking soda. And so instead of being a hypocrite, I say, "Oh, you can't drink the." They would go, "Oh, can I have some of your drink? Can I have some of your drink?" And I'd be like, "No, no, no. You can't have that." And if I said soda, they would be whatever. But I started telling them it was vodka. And I said, "Oh, that's vodka." And then it's like, "What's vodka?" And I go, "That's for adults only. That's an adults only drink. And you can't have that." And so it was really water, or it was seltzer, or it was 7 Up or Sprite. It was some sort of clear soda, usually. And anyway, I remember one time coming over, and the Bible study teacher coming over to study with one of my kids, and he goes, "Oh, do you mind if I get something to drink?" You know, um, I go, "Oh, sure, I've got soda or something. I got Sprite or 7 Up or whatever. What would you like?" And they go, "No, that's not Sprite or soda. You're drinking vodka, Daddy." And right in front of the Bible study guy, which was pretty much the preacher of the local church that would come and do Bible study with them. And so, yeah, there was a couple times where things came back and kind of bit me in the butt, um, because I was being silly, or I was an unexperienced single parent with nobody to bounce ideas off of, in the moment. In the moment,
right,
there's always a lot of decisions you have to make in the moment that you don't realize you're gonna have to make in the moment, and then you do it and you start doing things. So that was something stupid that I thought was funny, but it came back and bit me in the ass.
right. Well, you can't always win,
No.
but
And with kids, you
it,
usually don't. With kids, you usually do a lot of losing. There's a lot of losing involved. It's the little wins that get you through to the next one.
yeah. And as a parent, you're naturally influenced, uh, like me and my dad, the way we got along. I didn't want to raise my kid that way,
Yeah, right.
and uh, but should have more.
Huh.
If
Really?
if yeah, his mother was responsible for the discipline
Right.
in his life,
Sure.
and he needed none.
He needed none.
But
Your dad was a good boy?
um,
Was he raised
yeah,
with the fear of whatever, mom or God or whatever it may be? What
no,
was it?
he had no fear because he was between being born and going to school and maybe first grade, the perfect kid.
Right. Wow.
So in at least in my eyes, but there were things I could have been a little more stern about.
Right. And
Um,
so we wonder where discipline, you know, we think we're doing something better than the previous model. You think of us as the latest vacuum cleaner. Okay, if you want
right.
to, why? Because we suck. No, okay. So the reason you think your parents were the latest vacuum cleaner when they were out, and you're like, oh, I need to improve upon that model. If it was because um, they were too strict, they didn't spend enough time with me, whatever was lacking in your life, you try to overcompensate with your children. I noticed that, at least with me, every child I try to get it right. Every child was a audition for. That's right. We're here at Paul Brumbaugh's Life. Can he fucking get it right this time? And so that's what it was. Every time it was, can I get it right? Can I do it right? Um, and I had a lot of practice. In other words, I had a lot of kids. And so um, I spent a lot of time with the oldest child. I did all those things. I did everything that the doting father would do. I even named him after myself. They're even honking. Honk if you like Zig in the Zone. Hey, they like
Is
Zig
that
in the Zone.
me or you? Yeah, I'm in a parking lot by Starbucks, the best Starbucks in California at South Shore Drive.
Okay.
So, and they be become my green room. So,
Yeah, yeah. If you guys are riding around in Alameda, California, and you see the Zig in the Zone mobile, make sure you say hi to Zig. They usually give out balloons and little streamers and stuff, but whatever.
well,
But
I'll give you a
the
little
Zone
bud if
mobile,
you really want one, because that's the kind of guy I am.
that is the kind of guy
Um,
you are.
uh, but you know what? People, in I've been in Alameda for 30 years, but I've been estranged from the latest in a line of women who have been good to me for the most part, and none better than Tally. I miss her, but I've learned to get along on my own, and I'm relating to people in town where I was home all the time, and didn't really. Alameda's a very friendly, diverse uh, little town. So I'm happy here. And good time to talk about our sponsors from Alameda, two Alameda attorneys. Paulie, like you like to say, we're lawyered up. So if anything goes wrong, um, we got these guys. One of them is Andrew Doza. Andrew Doza is a jack of all trades and a master of all, except what our second attorney, I'll tell you about him, is he specializes in in tenant relationships
and landlord dispute,
and
right?
landlord. Yeah, right. We lost that for a minute. I'm getting a little bit. I'm the same age as the president of the United States. So I take on a lot of his, not a lot. Once in a while I'll mess up, but this guy is demented. Um, just an editorial comment. Um, anyway, um, landlord tenant is the biggest in the world, the biggest complaint. Um, when you're renting from somebody, they don't call them the landlord for nothing. They think of themselves as a lord sometimes. And hey, listen, things can change mindset. So, are you going to play those commercials?
Yep, here we go, guys. We'll be right back after this. Whether it's criminal defense, estate planning, or civil litigation, the answer is the law offices of Andrew Doja. Call us today at 510-865-1600 or find us on the web at dojalaw.com.
For tenant and landlord disputes, there's no other than the law office of Jeff Canberra. Call now 1-510-865-7369 and don't forget to tell them Zig sent you.
That's right. And since I'm doing business, you guys reach out to us. Like, subscribe, ring that little bell wherever podcasts can be seen and heard. That's right. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. There's the addresses. Go like, subscribe, follow us, and do that thing. And it's time for Zig Says. Oh, it is there. It is. My logo's there. Zig. And Zig. Go ahead. Zig Says. Do your thing.
One of the things that Trump is eliminating from our society are things like the arts and specifically the Head Start program. And what it means to me is giving kids a chance to find a passion. Then they'll get a head start. Okay? And the best way to do that is through books. So what I'd like you to do is wrap up some new or lightly used books and send them to bring them to the Head Start program in your community. Have a book drive, a neighborhood book drive, whatever turns you on about helping kids through this method would be great. And you can get a tax write-off. You put a price tag on what the books are and get a legitimate tax write-off. And you're doing it without exchanging dollars for charity. And we can get into that at another program. But if if you're helping people that you can see the benefit of it, it's good for your head. And so give to the Head Start program. And Paulie, tell us a little bit about Edge Studio.
Edge Studios Online. Okay, so at Edge Studios Online, we help people. So if you're the greatest thing about what we do, Zig, is that it's virtual. You can be there at a storefront. So, in other words, you could go to a physical studio such as Edge Studios in San Francisco. We're also building out a space in the Valley here. I also have the home studio here that we're working out. But so here's the greatest thing is that we can teach you how to build your own little space, even if it's just you and your laptop or you and your phone. Zig is there in
Or
Alameda,
you in
California.
the Zigmobile.
Right. You could be in the Zigmobile. You could literally be like Ralph sitting in the Zigmobile in Alameda, California. I could be sitting in the Central Valley. We could have guests from all around the world, and we could do your podcasting for you. Or you could come into one of our facilities and record there. A lot of people like I just had someone that I don't know how the best way of describing it, maybe instructed and showed how to create a podcast from their own home, started producing content, and I started watching, and I was very proud because it took them 6 months. It took them about 5 or 6 months, but it finally started to happen. I've been working with certain people. I work with people as long as I can before I realize they're not going anywhere. They're not doing anything. And some people have different lead times than others in bringing people on board. We're all different people. We're all different entities. We all have different ideas. So, what does Edge Studios do? We listen to you, the individual. We find out where you're at mentally, physically, and what you want to accomplish. Maybe you have an inkling of what you want to do, or maybe you have it down to the period, down to the very end. We're here to help you make that dream a reality. And again, you don't need to be physically in our studios for us to help you. So, how do you reach out to us? How do we help you at Edge Studios? You drop us a line. You drop us a line at edgestudiosonline@gmail.com. That's right, edgestudiosonline@gmail.com. Or you can drop us a call at 650-503-3435, and we can help you, again, make that dream a reality. So thanks for that, Ziggy.
Beautiful. Hey, Paulie, let's get back to kids for a second. How did you handle the empty nest syndrome?
Oh, don't worry. I haven't had to. I haven't had to at
Okay.
all. So I raised 4 kids. I have 5 kids. One I haven't seen since she was about 5. So let's talk about the primary 4. The 4, 2 of my 4 still live in my home because they have special needs, and they are currently 29 and 30 years old. I have 24, 29, 30, 33. So it was pretty close grouping when they were young. Um, all all in the same grade school, all in the same elementary school at one point. And so um, interesting. And so it was always an adventure, um, and always it kept me young. Now I feel old. I feel like all the it's kind of like when you're walking and you've been walking for a long time and you don't realize how tired or how much you've exerted energy, and you don't actually start to sweat until you stop. That's kind of what happened to me. I was just trying to get through my days raising children on my own for the most part. Of course, again, I had Christine, I had my mother, I had people like Auntie Lisa, I had people helping, but I was just trying to make it through my days and make sure everybody was still alive and had all their fingers and toes. And, it was exhausting. And so I remember the end of days, at the end of a day, I would be so physically exhausted, I would just poof, pass out. And, I didn't need drugs or alcohol to pass out. I just needed kids. And so, um,
Well, you
and so I
replaced
did
it.
that. But now that I'm done walking for so long, now that my kids are kind of the empty nest syndrome, two of my kids are out of the house. Um, Now I feel my age. Now every body part's creaking. Now everything's falling apart. Now, now is when you know, uh, here you finally get through the race, and you want to enjoy yourself, and you're so tired and physically exhausted, and parenting kicks your ass. I don't know how else to say it other than parenting kicks your ass. And so,
Yep.
do me a favor. Can you reset your microphone? Um, but the other thing is, um, it's one of the most rewarding jobs. Again, I really, really appreciated, um, or I don't even know if I say honored, but it was a privilege to raise my kids. There's a lot of people that don't get to be a part of their kid's life. And no, you're still a little bit choppy. I actually muted you so I could talk over you. But yeah, you're a little choppy still. If you can, just plug it in and unplug it and plug it back in. But so I mean, I had to do a lot of um self check-ins. Yes. I had to do a lot of checking in with myself. I had to do a lot of um I do it now too, but I did it a lot more then. And what I mean is I think it's a mental check-in. And I'll do that a lot with myself. I'll kind of go, "How you doing, Paul?" And I'll answer myself. I'm stressed, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I'm anxious, I'm depressed, whatever the deal is, I'll answer myself. And I'll ask myself, okay, so based on however I answer that, am I taking care of my immediate needs? When was the last time you had something to drink like water? Oh, when's the last time you ate and what was it? Um, have you taken a break? Because there's times where I push through and power through, and I just say, I got to get through this, and then I'll get through that. Great example is on Mondays, we have back to back shows, right? So we would go through from one show to the next show to the next show, and I would have about, I don't know, anywhere from a half hour, 15 minutes to an hour that to break down, set up for the next show, and be ready to go and have all their content and blah, blah, blah. There was many times where I just needed a 15-minute break to wash my hands, go to the restroom, eat a sandwich that maybe I had packed. And there were so many times where I just foregoed that. I remember hours at a time going, boy, I have to go to the restroom, but this has got to wait. I remember going,
Right.
wow, I'm starting to get a headache or I'm getting nauseous. When was the last time you ate? Oh, you haven't had anything since this morning. Um, so there was a lot of things like that, and so it was always self care. So when I was raising my kids, it was definitely about self care. It was about checking in, making sure how I'm feeling, how I'm doing. Uh, Based on how I'm doing, is there anything else I could do for myself? Again, trying to set myself up for success and not failure. Um, and I have a problem with that now. I've always had a problem with that, but I really had to enforce that and be strict on myself when my kids were young, because you could time just slips away. You could be It could be early in the day. You drop everybody off at school. You go do shopping. You go to work. You do all these things. Then you reverse and you go back and you pick them up from there. You take them to the park. You feed them. You get them clean. You read them a book. You get them in bed. There were so many times where I was reading to them and I would almost fall asleep because I was so exhausted. And so, yeah, a lot of checking in with myself, a lot of self care, um, a lot of that stuff. That's the stuff that gets you to survive raising kids. And people go, "Wow, how did you do it with four?" I say that with people that have two kids. I see single moms all the time with one kid and two kids, and that's a handful. Sometimes as you
Oh,
add more
absolutely.
kids, times as you add more kids, it's kind of like it's like having
It's
a
like
single dog
when,
versus having two dogs. At least they have company. At least they have someone of their own peer and someone else that they can interact with that's not an adult or whatever. And so it was easier in that respect. They had play partners, they had support systems, they had autonomy, they had home, they understood. And so, yeah. What
yeah,
about in your home? Because
well, I'll
so
tell you what,
so when you grew up, when your parents were raising you, were you, and
it
this
was
is funny that I have to ask
unbelievably,
this. Isn't this funny? I have to ask this. Were you an only child?
my brother was an only child.
Your brother was
Um,
an only child.
that was a book written by Jack Douglas, and it was one of the funniest people. Uh, Jack Douglas appeared on Jack Parr
Oh, really?
all,
Okay. The
all
original Tonight
times,
Show,
the original Tonight Show,
right?
and he and an Oriental wife. I can't think of her name, but a charming couple, and it was a great book and a great times. I grew up in in a very traditional manner, except that my father was gone about 6 months out of the year. He was a diamond dealer, and he'd go back to Europe and buy diamonds, bring them back, and sell them uncut. When I was really young, he was a diamond cutter. And so we had money, but a very middle class, thank God, existence. I would have, uh, I would have hated to have the life that money sets up as a kid. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
because
and my
there's some really big values that you learn at that age, right? The value of a dollar, your work ethic. A lot of those things are formed in the
right,
formative years. That's why they call them
oh
formative
yeah,
years. And so if
um,
you trying to teach it's like trying to teach my dog not trying to shit in the house now. He's 4 years old. It's too late for that. If he's shitting in the house, he's shitting in the house. You better put pads
right,
down, right? And so same thing with kids. If they don't learn the value of a dollar, the work ethic, honesty, respect of elders, respect for women, respect for authority. If they don't learn some of these key skills early on, boy, their life they end up you end up getting your nose rubbed in a lot of shit. Going back to the dog euphemism and pooping on the rug. If you don't learn those skills early on, boy, it could fuck you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And the main thing you need to learn, I'm talking to the kids out there and the young adults, is money management. Don't spend more money than you make. Very difficult to do. I was a commission salesman for a long time and didn't have an exact number of what I was going to bring in, but I always managed to spend enough to be in debt to ruin that part of my life.
Right.
Um, Hard to imagine because I do consider myself bright, but I was never good with money. And that's the way it goes. First your money, then your clothes.
Well, you know what? And there's
Um,
there's another skill that you should learn early on, and it has to do with schooling. Hey, kids, stay in school. Um, is we were just talking about what Zig says about reading. Reading gives you a real skill, and it gives you other skills that you don't realize it. When you're reading something, you could write something. When you're reading something, you're a little bit closer to expressing yourself in some way and seeing how things get expressed on paper or in verbal form or however. So there's real skills there. Same thing with math. I wish I had really practiced my times tables and my this and that because math is one of the skills I very much lack. And I don't know if it was just because I didn't have the talent, but I think math is one of those things a lot of people don't have talent for. They have to learn, and it's disciplined, and after a while it becomes bearable. um, I'm the worst with numbers. You don't want me doing your taxes. That's why I married a tax accountant. um,
right.
you don't want me. If I'm budgeting, everything is done here. I run a business, but everything's done on scratch paper or in my head, or when I'm budgeting, I'm like, do I have money to do that? And so, and it comes down to the other thing that you had just said. Don't spend something you don't have.
Right.
What's the old joke? What is it? I'm trying to remember how it goes, but basically, how much is that TV? I don't know. It's a check in my checkbook. It's a piece of paper. It's no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not just a charge on your card. It's not just nowadays everything's connected to a bank account with all the digital stuff, but there's still people that have actual physical credit cards that can run up debt. There's people that uh, I haven't seen somebody write a check since I don't know when, but there's people that still
Oh, how
write
about
checks.
student loans?
Student
That
loans, yeah. There's
that
people
kicks a
in debt.
lot of people's ass.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Um,
so very interesting. Yeah, so that's one of those skills I wish I had the discipline for when I was younger, and trying to learn it now is like that dog on the rug again. And so, yeah. Um, and so that was something that you learned kind of early on, that you're not good with money per se.
no, I'm not, and I was pampered by grandparents. Um, my parents were gone for a lot of the first 5 years of my existence. Um, my mother traveled to Europe with my father, and my grandparents and uncle took over. I lived in the Bronx. Um, I lived in a big, beautiful house with them, and my grandmother tried to make up for my having the loss of my parents there by pampering me in every which way. I
Right.
was absolutely treated like a prince and didn't serve me. Let's put it that way. Uh, but it was fun while it lasted for 79 years. Anyway, it's a mindset. Um, and I could have been raised differently, and that would have been better. But I'm not going to blame how I was raised on how things turned out, because things turned out great for me, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell people, if people have a problem with the way I conduct myself, I just say I was raised by wolves. So,
Right.
but no,
Uh,
I was raised by a single mom in the 70s. Then a stepfather came in and he was abusive, which is the guy I take care of now, which is crazy. It's a crazy world we live in. So I feel like it's Stockholm syndrome. Um,
do you know? Excuse me a second,
Go
because
for it,
I'll lose my
please.
train of thought. The only real miscommunication I had with my very conservative father, who grew up um, with no fallback in life, escaped the war to come here, all that stuff, is when he asked me when I was like 12, what do you want to do with your life?
Right.
Maybe I said, I want to be the Yankees announcer.
Okay.
And his exact words were, that's nonsense. Do you know how many kids want to be the Yankee announcer? That it's you have to have something more tangible. Now he meant well,
Right.
but it at the same token, meaning well to a 12-year-old, you don't consider that. You just consider, boy, that's
That
my,
just
maybe I
crushed
was a
that,
little
that's
older.
my dream. You just got your dream
Right,
crushed.
exactly. And um, took me a long time to get into broadcasting at all, let alone being the Yankee announcer. And I would have been a great Yankee announcer. I had the voice back then, and I had the knowledge and the sense of humor. And but it wouldn't have to be the Yankees. Could have been a minor league team, uh, as an example, and that would have fulfilled me in the same way. But I don't want to bitch, because I have good memories of grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts. Um, you mentioned my brother. I don't talk about him much. He and I recently reconciled or reconciled with each other. We had um, some issues over a lifetime, and he knows I love him, and I know he loves me on the levels that we do. And
And is he an older brother or younger brother?
he's a younger brother,
How much younger? So you're 79. How old is he?
4 years.
Okay.
Four
So he's
years. He's
75.
75. He had we talked on um, Facebook on the Messenger. When I turned 79, he had the gall to tell me and remind me that I was in my 80th year. So, with a little smirk on his face. Um, and being 80 is much the same as being 79. The changes over the years with people so gradual that um, putting a number to it really isn't fair. And
Well, what was it?
so that
George Carlin's joke is, yes, folks, I just turned 70, and they all start applauding for him because it was at one of his HBO specials, and he goes, I like 70. 70's really good. I like 69 better. And then
I like that.
uh and then going back to your dad saying you couldn't be an announcer, he was trying to give you a little bit of realism. I think my mom tried to do that too. Being a single mom, she tried to do it in her own special way. I said, I remember early on thinking to myself, I want to be president of the United States. I thought to myself.
Really?
Yeah. And she goes, "You know what, son? We live in a great country." She goes, "Anyone, even you, can grow up to be a malignant narcissist too." And I said, "Really? I could?" She goes, "Yes, and a reality TV show star." I go, "Wow." And so that's why I'm here. That's
You
why
could
I'm
have
here.
done all
I
those
could
things.
I could have done all those things, and I'm just it's a boy living a dream. It's a boy living a dream. So,
Two boys living their dreams. Thanks
yeah.
for completing my.
And their senior years and their golden years, yeah.
Yeah.
These
Oh
will be
yeah. Thanks
fine
again
young
for
boys.
reminding me. Yeah, Bruce would love you, and you would love Bruce because you could. You have a way of digging into me a little bit in a friendly way that I really enjoy. Um,
Well,
you take me for what I am. You know I have no technical skills, and I could have said, you know, I have no skills, and that would have sufficed. But we have a good time doing this, don't we?
we do because we're friends and it shows. You can't fake this bullshit, right?
Yeah,
This is not something you can fake. This is something that's real. And yeah, we do rib each other. We rib each other like brothers. We rib each other like friends. Um,
yeah.
and that's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. I know that we're in Thanksgiving week, and so this is my opportunity to thank you, Zig, for your friendship and for being there and supporting this crazy guy doing this shit in San Francisco, um, and doing what we do there. So I do love
Paulie,
you, buddy. I
I hope
appreciate everything.
I hope that people that see the show got to see a piece of Paulie that and is reminded what a super guy you are. Thanks for being you.
No, thanks for your support. I mean, even waking up the other day and you say thank you for being you, Paulie, and so I
Yeah.
appreciate you, Zig. Um,
All right.
it's
You
a
want me to
hard thing
take
we
it out?
do sometimes. Yeah, let's take it out. Let's get out of here. Do what you do,
All
man.
right. Let me just remind people to keep your dreams wet, keep your humor dry, and keep your kids off the laps of clerics, and life will be oh so much better.
And I will
How's
go out
that?
saying we still haven't seen the Epstein files, and I'm waiting.
Well, I thought we could get through the show without
Without saying
talking
that,
politics,
nope, and we
without
don't
talking
have
politics.
to. I just wanted to
But
make sure that they
no,
know.
but I don't mind concurring yourself. Are they burning them? But there's so many people. The witnesses have um, their things to say. They have. They're going to combine and basically put out papers. Um, hey, we know this guy was a perv. Um, what what can it? What could we learn from the Epstein files?
We can learn a lot of things, but one thing is that money and
Oh,
power
the other
money and
people
power in this
involved.
country money and power in this country have too high of a position. It should be
Absolutely.
people helping
But about
people. It should
Trump,
be right.
what can we learn about Trump? The
Well,
man that,
that's a cautionary tale in itself. If you didn't vote for him and you were standing idly by and you didn't vote because you didn't think it was going to help, you're right. You have to live with yourself knowing that you didn't vote. If you voted for this man and now you have buyer's remorse, do whatever it takes to right that wrong, right that ship. If
Right.
you're still backing this guy, good luck. There's a special place for you. And
Hey, Paulie, off the subject a little bit, can I remind you and the people, you know, that impeachment isn't like Amendment 25. If he
right,
gets Amendment 25, Vance is president, the cabinet stays the same. If he's impeached, he's not only impeached, but the vice president and the cabinet are impeached as well.
right.
So it's certainly going to take a lot more. But the more he deteriorates mentally and physically, it's not going to take that much to get him out of office. So,
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it again this week. I don't know what the silver bullet's going to be, the wooden stake in the heart. Like
right.
you just said, we've seen some gaffes, some displays of that kind of stuff, but we need to get them in the right way. We need to vote them out, or we need to impeach them, or we need to an impeachment is the beginning of an indictment, right? And
I
so,
would like to see some way of getting those nuclear codes and putting him in a safe place where he can't get to them because
yeah,
he really
sorry.
is fucking nuts. Um, excuse the expression.
Well, and
I
the worst
saw
thing is he has Hegseth. He has Hegseth.
yeah. Oh yeah,
That's
another cuckoo.
the head of the war, or the Department of War.
And that little Nazi 4'10" cuckoo Jew, Miller, is just as crazy as any of them. And Vance is nuts.
Yeah, so
Um,
we need to do it the right way, folks. We need to get out of here in the right way. And speaking of, we were so close to leaving it on a good note. And all I was trying to
uh,
say, folks, is we still haven't seen the Epstein files. And until then, are we really living in a democracy? Are we really living in a place that not only are we free, but we're free
do we
from
have ICE agents in all the major cities going?
right,
Not all of them, but is that democracy?
right.
They don't even have to identify themselves. They're SS guys uh, disguised as ICE.
Yep.
So, no, but I think we're close to regaining it if the, what is in the files adds up to impeachment or somebody takes an effort to get behind that because he needs to be gone.
I agree. All right, I'm gonna try to get us out of here before 1 hour exactly. Say happy holidays, Zig. We're out of here.
Hey, thanks everybody. This is one, and thank you, Paul. This is one of the best things that a retired guy can do. It's so cathartic to express yourself, and Paulie helps. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. All right, guys. Till next week. We'll see you in the zone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.